Wow, this is wonderful because sometimes I have like one person or three people, so this is great. These classes that we hold during open house are not meant to be, like a 2-hour tour. They're supposed to be 15 minutes. I'm sure I run at least 30 minutes. We're going to just highlight some perennials that are blooming now for in the sun. We'll do another tour later on in, I don't remember when, sometime during our following open houses this spring on shade perennials, but today we're going to focus on sun perennials. I'm happy to take questions. I might walk past a plant that is of incredible interest to you, so I'm happy to talk about it. So we'll get started.
I got a question. And your name is?
Doug.
Doug, okay.
Yeah. Last name is Ruhren, but I've stopped using it in videos because I have trouble pronouncing it. Of course, you can go to the extreme sun perennials of cactus. There's some really glorious cactus in bloom. They open up at a certain time of the day. This won't be open up until late afternoon, and then the flowers are about almost 2 inches wide, but there's some others. This is a newish perennial, was introduced maybe about 6 years ago. It's a heliotrope, Augusta Blue. It will be in bloom up until we have really cold, freezing weather in November. Pollinators love it. This is an full sun location in extremely well-drained soil. It doesn't need extremely well-drained soil. It'll do fine in average garden conditions. It's a pretty vigorous plant. We sometimes have to rein it in, but if you have room for it, it's, as I said, been bloom for most of the year. 2 winters ago, it had a bit of bloom all winter. Oh, thank you.
Is that spread by rhizomes?
A bit, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, is that in the Lamiaceae family? Is it a mint?
No, it's not a mint family member. It has a scarpoid cyme, which makes me think it might be in the borage family, but I'm not sure. I use the botanical term scarpoid cyme, scarpoid referring to resembling scorpions. The way a scorpion has its tail arched over its back, the inflorescence opens up, sort of uncoils. It starts coiled, and then as it blooms, it uncoils. And the type of inflorescence?
The plant itself.
Heliotrope. Yeah, it was a real popular plant a century ago, yeah. But the popular ones were, you can still buy, but they're tropical, they're not perennial. But, the old-fashioned heliotropes are powerfully fragrant, they're really lovely fragrance, and this has a bit of the fragrance. I can hand it to somebody and pass it around.
Well, it would do good in a pot.
Yes.
It looks like the purple answer to lantana.
Yeah.
Yeah, or where you use it for where verbena's not quite right.
Yeah. Well, it's much more permanent than most verbenas. Lantana montevidensis is the same lavender color, but the common verbenas aren't lavender. This is a superb garden plant, a North American native. This is Callilophus, very closely related to the sundrops, the Enotheras, and I think some taxonomists have now lumped the two together. It's almost a little almost shrubby, though it does die back in the winter, and it's spectacular today, but it's going to be in bloom pretty much all summer long. The typical color is this bright yellow. We might go past some that are pale yellow selections that are really lovely.
That was one plant?
I think so.
Doug, what's this little tiny thing?
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty.
Yeah, it's a great plant. You know, I don't think I ever finished saying this is full sun. It's also really well-drained soil being mounded up, but it is also 50% gravel. And we don't irrigate this unless we've gone for, you know, a month without rain. This is, Thymophila? Yeah, Thymophila, meaning time-leafed, and it blooms up all summer long. It's a short-lived perennial, but it comes back. It produces lots of seedlings. Like those are seedlings, and
Thymophila?
yeah, meaning leaf like thyme with a very narrow leaf.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah. Well, see, these are all seedlings of it here.
Oh, look at that.
Now, that's the kind of thing that will scare a lot of gardeners. Oh my God, it's making seedlings, but they're real. The plant only gets about twice that big, blooms all summer, and it's real easy to pull out the seedlings if you don't want them.
Yeah, I'll take one home.
The better way to get it started if you're not buying plants is just sprinkle seed in the garden. All right. All right. Oh. Here's the name on the Callilophus cerulata. Prairie load is the cultivar, not the common name. The Amsonias, the blue stars, are, in the wild you'll often see them growing as woodland plants, but when you bring them out to the sun, they bloom really heavily. This is now going by. I don't know, there's maybe 20 different species, and some bloom are already done blooming and others haven't even started.
What are these yellow ones? The taller ones? Spiky?
This is one of the Jerusalem sages, a phlomis. They're short-lived shrubs, sort of like lavender and rosemary are short-lived shrubs, relatives of it as well. They're only in bloom now, but you see the seed heads from last year remain attractive. I haven't gotten around to cutting the dead part out, but they're evergreen shrubs. A lot of them have gray foliage like the one over there. So they're worth growing as foliage plants, and then the flowers this time of year are a nice bonnet. They're called Jerusalem sage because of their place of origin, but sage because the leaf looks a lot like the culinary sage, though I don't think it has any use. They're all in that same big mint family. All right. The area. Salvia farinaceae is native to like Texas and the other parts of the Southwest. The only one that's commonly sold is the seed strain Victoria, and I don't find that to be winter hardy, but all the ones we grow in the garden are winter hardy. This plant was planted in 2018, so it's gone through a bunch of winters. It's been in bloom for almost a month already. It'll still be in bloom in November. Not all salvias want sun, but many of the salvias do. Salvia chimidrioides, the little cedar sage, is that gorgeous cobalt blue flowers with the silver foliage. It's another one that's going to bloom, up until hard frost in November. It's one that definitely wants a hot, sunny location.
How about drainage?
Very good drainage on this one, just average drainage, like a normal average soil on the salvia. I planted it in my red clay soil at home, and it's just happy as can be.
Can you tell me, is this native or not?
It's native to this planet. I don't think it's native to this. I don't think it's native to this side of the street. I'm a little cranky about those questions. It is native to North America. It's probably Southwest U.S. Yeah. The sea kale is native to the sand dunes of England. We grow it for its beautiful foliage, but it's also really good eating. It's much tender than the kale you buy in the grocery store. Hey, Mike.
Is that another of the same as the plant that you were talking about
Yes,
before? 'Cause
yes.
It has a tag on it. if
Yes,
somebody
so
can take a
did the
picture.
second one. Okay.
This is beautiful.
We saw salvia comedrioides, the one with the cobalt blue flowers. It's a little shrubby salvia, does not die to the ground over winter. We do cut them back by about 2/3 in late winter to clean them up. This is a very close relative. This is Salvia hamensis. This cultivar is Blaze, and they have been in bloom for almost 2 months now and will bloom up until frost. You know, there are a lot of things with big showy flowers like lilies or well, tulips. You know, we love them and we grow them, but you have 2 weeks of bloom and then they're done for the year. So this might not be the showstopper that a big lily or a crinum is, but it's blooming for 7 months of the year or more. And if you have a sunny, dry location, they're absolutely superb. Again, these berms are not irrigated, so and we have a very light soil that dries out quickly. This type of, the Salvia hamensis is a hybrid between Salvia gregii and Salvia microphylla. They're almost indistinguishable, but the point I want to make is they come in a wide range of color. You see this sort of coral peach one, that's a really nice red one back there. Also come in white. And everybody probably knows the Peruvian lilies as a cut flower in the grocery store.
Mary, you get that
Yeah.
at the grocery store.
Yeah, but a lot of the ones grown for the florist trade are not good garden plants, but we sell a wide range of them that are superb garden plants. This is Indian summer, and it's just starting to bloom, but they're in bloom for months.
Cool. I've never seen
good-
one in the wild, only at the grocery store.
Yeah, yeah.
Wrapped in cellophane.
They're, I think everybody, Alstroemeria, the Peruvian lily. And this one has that interesting sort of smoky dark foliage. I always hate pulling a label out in this gravelly soil because it's almost impossible to get them back in. Yeah.
St. John's wort?
No, Baptisia, false indigo. A lot of breeding work goes on here. You can see some of our fields beyond the parking lot that aren't open to visitors, where we have seedlings of things from our breeding work under evaluation. But one of the crops we breed are the Baptisias. These are two atypical ones. This is a species that doesn't have big spikes, and earlier this week it was just beautiful, but now it's yeah, they're really good for pollinators. And this is one of my favorites. It's very delicate. A lot of the other ones are big, sort of chunky spikes of flowers, and really gorgeous garden plants. But
How long does it bloom?
they're in bloom for about 3 weeks. Yeah. But, and some of them are, you know, like this one is already going by. Some of them are much earlier than this, so they're a big, bold, flower display early in the year. One creature I do know that eats them are voles. They'll eat the roots off underground. If you have a big vole problem, like they love hostas and aspidistras, you can plant them in a pot and sink the pot in the ground. That affords a great deal of protection. you know, or invest in, you know, 30 cats or something. Yeah.
That's a
Just
pretty
got-
white plant.
Yeah, this is one of the many dianthus. This is sort of the peak of bloom for dianthus
Never seen a
in
white
spring.
one.
And it's a,
Almost.
there are lots in,
Purple.
it's probably very fragrant.
But not now.
I got
Well, there's,
Well, maybe at 10 o'clock or something. They do it at special hours.
yeah, but this is a wild species and it's fun with the fringy petals.
Oh, I love it. How pretty.
Now, if any of you sew, you might have a pair of pinking shears.
Yep.
When we were kids, my mom would not let us use the pinking shears. We still borrowed them and, you know, cut paper with it. Well, the dianthus are called pinks, and nowadays pink is used more for as a color term, but the dianthus were called pinks because an older the oldest meaning of the word pink was to the jagged edge.
I love knowing that.
Yeah, and so it only became a color term, I guess, because a lot of dianthus are the color we call pink. But
Well,
the
that's
original
interesting.
meaning of the word pink was the jagged edge. That's salvia, another one of those.
You showed us up there that has in very different colors. Varying colors.
Yeah, it's a different selection of the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at the far end, there's a couple yellow flowered ones, and there's sort of sunset colored ones. And, you know, I would make them the backbone of a sunny, well-drained garden and just fill in with other things. We saw the Callilophus in bright yellow, but this is a paler yellow selection. We might just go down here. This dianthus is really fragrant. I think you might be able to smell it on the air. That's one of our great big baptisia, the false indigos, but it's almost done blooming. So those were, you know, 18-inch candles of yellow flowers.
From the breeding program.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Are you smelling it or not?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, that's another selection of baptisia. I think that's one of our seedlings, but you know, some of them are done blooming, but that's still pretty much at peak. And yet another color selection of that same salvia.
Wow, pretty.
You know, yeah, that's Mesa Azure.
That has a nice little round habit.
Well, it will get wider over the course of the summer and be less meatball.
Okay.
But the nature of the plants is they don't shed the spent flower stalks, sort of like butterfly bush doesn't. They don't clean themselves up. So late
they
winter.
have helpers.
Yeah, us gardeners.
Yeah.
And so late winter, we just really quickly cut them back by about 2/3 to get rid of
Sure,
the spent
that's
flower stalks, because otherwise they don't go away on their own. And so when they first grow out, their growth habit looks more irregular, but it's going to sort of spread out over the course of the summer.
Are we smelling the dianthus?
Yes.
That smells
Yes.
so good.
Yeah, it smells really good. You know, another name for some of the dianthus is clove pinks,
Clove.
because of that clove scent. We have plenty of plants in the garden that smell really bad this time of year, and maybe you'll encounter them on your trip.
Will deer leave those alone? They don't like things that smell a lot. I don't know. We have a lot of deer on our property.
I don't know, and you know, a lot of times when I'm talking to an audience and I say deer don't eat this, somebody will say they eat it in my garden.
Depends on how
Or
hungry they are.
Well, absolutely that's the case.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they'll pick whatever. They
Yeah, we're gonna head up this way.
You want to take
Of course.
ground cover here.
It's a yellow foliaged oregano.
Oh, that's oregano?
Yeah, it's the same oregano you use in the kitchen.
So if I plant my oregano that's in a pot on the ground, it'll do this?
Well, it might. Yeah, they're deciduous.
Deciduous azalea.
Yeah, the one on the right is deciduous. The one on the left is actually evergreen, and that's a Taiwanese species, Rhododendron oldhamii, named for somebody named Oldham, and it's one of the most important parents of the encore azaleas. If you notice that a lot of the encore azaleas have real fuzzy leaves, they're getting it from this parent. And I heard someone say something about cactus in North Carolina. Most cactus are not winter hardy in zone 7B or 8A, but quite a few of them are, and there's some really good online catalogs for cactus that are winter hardy. You need to provide really good drainage, and a lot of this crevice garden, the soil is almost entirely gravel, and we're able to grow some things that we couldn't otherwise. What looks maybe like stone is a concrete slab from a house that was taken down, and it was going to cost a fortune to have the concrete hauled off, so they thought, well, what can we do with it? So they made a crevice garden.
The pH doesn't mess up the calcium? I mean, the calcium doesn't mess up the pH?
Well, we don't grow acid-loving plants in the crevice garden, but a lot of plants, tolerate alkaline soil.
We're here, sweetie, and
Yeah.
we'll talk later.
All right. A lot of the plants we've looked at thus far have been plants that are very drought tolerant, but you can also end up with a situation where you have a wet site in full sun, and in those locations we grow bog plants, and our native pitcher plants are one of our features.
I didn't know pitcher plants had that flower.
Yeah, the flower I think is even weirder than the pitchers themselves, but that's one flower. I can't really explain what the different floral parts are.
Cool.
Don't tell Tony, but I just cut this flower. I guess these are the sepals, and then these are the petals, but then it has this odd sort of, it reminds me of what I now know they call boob lights, like in the kitchen, those domed lights. And so there's this part of the inside that, and then the actual flowers, well,
Oh, there's the seeds.
well, not the seed, but the anthers that are producing pollen, and then the pistil, the female part that's receiving the pollen. And we'll collect the seed of this. It doesn't ripen up until the fall. But this time of year, they're just starting to put up new pitchers.
That is so cool.
Yeah, and we have a really big collection of pitcher plants. This is a real easy bulb to grow. It gets better every year. You can buy it from any of the mail order bulb companies like, oh, I didn't see the label yesterday. It's Dickelostema. No, it's a mouthful. But Pink Diamond is the cultivar. Any of the mail order bulb nurseries like Brent and Becky's Bulbs would sell this in the fall, and it doesn't need a sharp drainage. It will grow just fine. Oh, we didn't see ice plants in the parking lot berms, but ice plants are great for a sunny, dry location.
Almost a coppery metallic
The
light.
Latin name of the ice plant.
Well, there's a number of things called ice plant, but these ones are Delosperma.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you
Yeah.
sell the variety here called fire spinner?
Do we?
I don't know if we do this year, but
Yeah, we have a lot of more recent introductions. Yeah.
I have pink ones, but I like
Yeah.
that fire
We
spinner. I saw
we
it.
sell. I don't think we sell this one, but we have some that are similar color,
Oh, okay.
and they tend to bloom all summer long.
Yeah.
The leaves are succulent, and it's very drought tolerant. Yeah. Okay.
Sir, can you tell us about this plant, please?
Yeah. Its common name is shaving brush plant. It's Scadoxus. That's a very special variegated form of Scadoxus. The flowers were sort of about the same color as that rusty orange ice plant we just saw. It's done blooming. You can see the spent flowers and the fruit that's developing. But the foliage will be up all summer long and then die away come winter. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you have anything like this that's evergreen?
Well, there's a close relative that's grown as a house plant that's called shaving brush plant. The flowers are white and it has broad green foliage. That's another example of a baptisia, the false indigos. This one is in prime shape.
Wow.
That's baptisia minor, meaning small, but it's not exactly small. Yeah, that was wild collected. There are a lot. This is our sun garden. It's mostly sunny most of the day. This time of year, there are a lot of really beautiful iris. This is an example of a Louisiana iris or Louisiana hybrid iris. They come in a really wide range of color. That sort of orangey one down there is another selection. They are spreading plants, so you need to give them some room. They will grow in standing water, but will do just as well in they don't have to have a wet spot, but if you have a wet spot, they'll just do absolutely well. This is a cultivar named Sinfonedia. Yes?
Back there at our last stop, there was a plant that looked very much like a dandelion.
Yes.
We couldn't find a tag for it. What is that?
Oh, I don't remember the name off the top of my head. It's not the same genus as dandelion, but it's basically a big showy dandelion.
Well,
yes.
It was interesting because there was a dandelion growing right under it.
A very smart dandelion that thought it could get away with it, and then it blooms.
He wants to crossbreed and make a hybrid.
Oh dear, with hybrid vigor.
Doug, what's the name of that? I'm sorry again.
It's a Louisiana hybrid named Sinfonetia. There are hundreds and hundreds of Louisiana iris cultivars, and if you get really interested in them, the best place to find them are from a mail-order nursery that specializes in them. They'll ship you bare root plants in probably about August or so. Yeah.
If we were to plant a couple, you said this was a vigorous grower.
Yes.
If we had it in a nice wet site, like how much room should we give it? Was that just 2 or 3 plants and 3 years later it's that, or I don't know how much room?
Well, I've been working in this garden for 3 years.
Okay.
I'm looking for the label because all of our engraved labels have the year that something was planted, and it was probably planted as one plant because generally things get planted just as one plant.
Okay.
There are, and that leaves enough room to have a collection of plants totaling about 27,000 different things. We're not going to see them all today.
So that may have very well come from one plant.
Yeah, it could. Well, not a couple years ago, quite a few years ago. I would think one plant would take probably 10 years to spread that far. But, you know, a lot of irises are clump formers, so they don't run. But the Louisiana iris do. We're going to continue up this way and
where all that water collects.
That would be.
yeah.
Eat those?
Yeah, some of them taste better than others. That one's not that good. The good ones taste like asparagus. That's a yucca.
Yeah, I've got some.
Yeah, yuccas are really easy sun plants. Well, they'll tolerate a fair amount of shade, but they're happier out in full sun. They're spectacular in bloom.
They don't do like that, but
Yeah,
they're still living.
yeah.
Die.
That's another Louisiana iris over here in a different color. Yeah. This is one of the, this is another of the wild baptisias, Baptisia sphaerocarpa, which means round fruit. It's this brilliant yellow, and it's been used in breeding to produce yellow hybrids. The baptisias will go full sun, part shade, tolerate a lot of drought, but also be fairly good in damp soil. This is one of my favorite iris. It's the cultivar is George Davidson. It looks a lot like the European water iris that has yellow flowers, but this is sterile, so it's not going to make carpets of seedlings like the European water iris does. And a similar hybrid, but a very different color. This one is Holden's Child. Behind you, some nice Baptisia and also an early blooming Phlox. I don't have to read the label. I'm really good at that. I know. Let's see. Oh, okay. I thought this was this is amethyst pearl. It's just starting to bloom. A lot of them aren't even open yet. A long period of bloom, sort of coming between the spring phlox that are mostly done now and the big summer phlox, the Phlox paniculata. Amethyst pearl was a sport of mini pearl, which is pure white. And they're really good garden plants. There's some older varieties that tended to not persist in the garden, but both mini pearl and amethyst pearl are really good permanent plants in the garden.
Do you have any problem with your phlox getting mildewy in the humidity? Or?
Well, so much of the breeding in Phlox has been to breed for mildew resistant.
Okay.
So a lot of the older.
I hadn't grown it because I thought it would
Yeah.
be too rough.
Yeah. Phlox paniculata was the worst for mildew. You know, mildew is a fungus. It's not making mushrooms, but sort of a film of white over the surface of the leaves. A lot of older Monarda cultivars, bee balms, were very prone to mildew. But so much breeding work has been to breed ones that don't get mildew. So if we have a variety in the garden that gets mildew every year, we would very quickly pull it out and send it to the compost pile. But I've never seen it on mini pearl or amethyst pearl. And you know,
Grow it now.
what's that?
I might decide to grow it now.
Yeah.
Just stayed away. Does it get any taller than that?
No, it's a short thing. I've said Phlox paniculata. That's the big summer blooming one that goes on for months,
Yeah.
most of the summer. And you know, the modern selections were selected for mildew resistance.
Yeah. Is this similar to Woodlander, Lilac? May Breeze and the Blue Moon.
Both of those are selections of Phlox divaricata, the blue woodland phlox, and that's long since done blooming. That's very early blooming. We're already cutting it down because it's done blooming, and we also, not this one, but the early blue phlox. That's a shade plant. we cut it down so it produces fewer seedlings in the garden. I don't see this one producing seeds. It's spreading underground at a very modest rate.
What is it hybrid of?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
So it's not like Stolonifera x divaricata like the
No, it's probably derived from Phlox caroliniana and one other. Now we used to go Phlox caroliniana, and the plants usually didn't persist in the garden. These hybrids are, very permanent for us.
You mentioned Monarda and
Yeah.
selections that are less prone to mildew. Is the balmy series less prone to mildew?
I believe so. I tend to think that anybody introducing Phlox and Monarda at this time is going to be introducing only the ones that are mildew resistant. But sometimes when a breeder is developing plants in one part of the country and they're absolutely superb,
Yes.
and then they get grown in another area, they don't necessarily do as well. An example of that is a very prominent breeder of herbaceous perennials bred a new lungwort, a pulmonaria. It's absolutely spectacular for us in bloom, but then it spends the whole rest of the year, all the foliage, both old and new, covered with mildew. So it's one we would never introduce, but it was, superb in the Midwest where it was developed. Yeah. But, the things we sell are, things where we've trialed in the garden before we introduced them.
Still can't kill it.
Yeah.
So back to this phlox we're looking at, would you say this kind of bridges the gap between the spring woodlands and then the summer paniculatas?
It does a good job of doing that because the spring phlox are done, and it's, it would be awfully early for the summer phlox. Yeah, there are other things that are like forms of paniculata that were blooming earlier. I always think we don't need, the summer blooming things. We don't need earlier blooming forms of them. We need later blooming things because our growing season is so long. I might point out one last plant. This is a selection of one of our local native iris. That's Iris virginica. It's a plant that does perfectly well in average garden conditions, but you could also grow it at the edge of a pond. It loves moisture. And it's a fairly nice foliage plant. The foliage stays clean all summer long. Well, we've got a little taste of the garden. I invite you to walk through the rest of the garden and enjoy it. And then I'm always amazed that some people come here and don't realize that we sell plants during open house. We are primarily a mail order nursery, and so we don't have on-site sales most of the year, but we always have plant sales during open house.
And you just had to remind Chris.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Chris needs more plants.
Yeah, especially
Yeah.
a few more pots on the driveway.
Oh dear. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for your time. I'm happy to answer additional questions, but yeah.
Can we ask you